We're all living through this incredible tech revolution, right? But what if I told you it's about to slam into a very real, very physical wall? And that wall, it's made of copper. So that's the big question we're digging into today. Is copper going to be the engine of our future, or is it going to be the brakes? And honestly, this quote from Daniel Yergin at S&P Global it hits the nail on the head. He's laying out the stakes perfectly. The problem isn't a lack of brilliant ideas or bold ambitions. No, we're talking about a potential bottleneck of something way more fundamental, the actual stuff we need to build everything. It's so easy to forget, isn't it? You pick up your phone, you talk to an AI, it all feels so clean, so wireless, so digital. But the truth is, all of it has this gritty physical beginning. Every single line of code, every amazing AI model, it all comes back to stuff that has to be dug out of the ground. The digital world doesn't exist without the physical one. I mean, you can feel it everywhere, right? The AI race is absolutely on. We're hearing all these incredible promises about the future, insane computational power, smart cities, everything connected to everything else. It's this amazing, almost abstract vision of where we're headed. But that leads to a kind of uncomfortable question. What is all this digital magic actually made of? Because the answer isn't just ones and zeros. It's real, physical stuff. And here's the kicker. We might be running out of it. So, okay, what's behind this whole potential crisis? Well, one analyst we looked at calls it a three-front demand war. Think of it like a perfect storm, and it's bearing down on the copper market from all sides all at once. And this brings us to a really crucial idea from our sources. It's this concept of demand simultaneity. See, in the past, big industrial booms kind of happened one after another. But this time, it's different. We've got three huge copper-guzzling global changes all hitting at the exact same time. So, front number one, electrification. We're talking about this massive global push. Just think about electric cars. They use more than 3 times the copper of a regular gas-powered car. And that's not even counting the huge expansion of our power grids to support them all. Front number two is the real accelerator here, AI and data centers. I mean, these places are just incredibly power hungry, and they are packed to the gills with copper. Wiring, cooling systems, you name it. Get this, for every single megawatt of capacity, a data center needs something like 27 tons of copper. It's wild. And then there's the third front, the one a lot of people don't even think about, defense. Modern military tech, we're talking missiles, advanced radar, all that stuff, is just incredibly copper intensive. And with defense spending around the world looking like it's going to surge, well, that just adds another huge strain on the system. So what happens when you put all three of these together? Well, according to S&P Global, the combined effect is a projected 50% surge in total copper demand by 2040. That's just a massive number to wrap your head around. Okay, so the obvious question here is, well, why don't we just mine more copper? And yeah, if only it were that simple. Let's flip over to the supply side of the equation, because this is where we run into what the sources are calling the Great Copper Bottleneck. And this timeline right here is absolutely crucial to understanding the problem. From the moment someone discovers a new copper deposit to the date actually starts producing metal, we're talking an average of 17 years. Just let that sink in. We're building data centers that we need like next year with copper that won't even be out of the ground for almost 2 decades. The timelines just don't match up. And believe me, the challenges do not stop there. The mines we already have, they're producing lower and lower quality ore. The costs for energy and labor, they're going up. Plus, you've got huge environmental and social opposition to opening new mines. And then there's this really critical point. The supply chain is dangerously concentrated. China refines roughly 60% of all the world's copper. That creates a massive geopolitical choke point. So, okay, you've got demand just skyrocketing, and it's slamming right into a supply chain that's totally constrained. So what's the end result, the consequence? It's the very real, very scary possibility that this amazing future we've all been promised might have to be put on hold. And when you look at the numbers from that S&P Global study, man, they are stark. By 2040, the projection is that the world will have about 32 million metric tons of copper supply. But the demand? That's projected to be 42 million. You do the math? That's a 10 million metric ton shortfall. Just a massive, massive gap.
One of our sources uses this term that I think just perfectly captures the situation: material denial. It's this idea that our big digital dreams are on a collision course with cold, hard physical reality. It means that this incredible future we've been imagining, we just might not be able to build it. Not because we don't know how, but because we literally don't have the raw materials to do it.
So is that it then? Are we just doomed? Well, not necessarily. And this brings us to the pivot. This is where innovation and industry are just desperately scrambling to find an answer to this whole problem. And a huge part of the answer could be something pretty simple: substitution. Take a look at aluminum. Okay, so it's only about 60% as conductive as copper, which is a drawback. But then you look at the price. We're talking around $3,400 a ton for aluminum versus almost $13,000 for copper. I mean, the economic reason to switch is just enormous, at least for any application where it's technically possible. And if you look at the history, this price gap between copper and aluminum, it's just gotten wider and wider over time. And that trend is exactly what's making aluminum look more and more attractive, especially for things like big power transmission lines and all sorts of electrical components. And then, of course, there's good old innovation. Our sources point to some really fascinating new technologies that are in the works. People are figuring out how to essentially remine old waste piles, pulling copper out of what's left over at old mines, and even getting minerals out of the ash from coal power plants. It's the classic human response to scarcity, right? But the billion-dollar question is, can any of this scale up fast enough to make a difference? So let's pull back for a second. We've looked at the crazy demand, the tight supply, and some of the potential fixes. What's the big takeaway here? I think it's that our shiny digital future is facing a very real, very physical test. Yeah, if you're going to remember one thing from all of this, let it be this. We've all gotten so used to thinking about tech progress as this limitless thing that just happens in the cloud. But it's not. It's fundamentally tied. It's tethered to the physical world, to geology, to mining, to metallurgy. And that kind of leaves us with this final big question. The AI revolution, it isn't just about software, it's about the hardware it runs on. The race is on for sure, but it's not just a race to write smarter code. It's become a race against hard physical limits. So can we innovate our way out of this copper bottleneck? Or is physical reality about to force us to rewrite the ambitions we have for our own future?